for the ruling on his no-case submission at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Rufai, like I highlighted in my report here about, this story that had been trending all week about these terrorists in Katsina negotiating and warning security operatives not to use the kinetic approach. And, you juxtapose it with the detention of the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra. You'd see this disparity. Where is the fairness? These are the conversations that have been had so far.
There's a lot of unfairness in this country, and some people rank higher than some. Not to say the DSS have not prosecuted some terrorists, of extractions of the North here, but when you openly see people negotiating and bandits doing all sorts what they do, and you see people like Nnamdi Kanu case that, by the way, is in the hospital now because they had to push until they got him to the hospital because of his ill health, and you're wondering what is going on. Prior to President Buhari leaving office, some Igbo leaders went for a political solution. Somebody would have thought that the likes of President Buhari would have prevailed upon that. But nothing happened. President Tinubu is in there now. A lot of people have been talking about a political solution. To no avail. Nnamdi Kanu has come out to constantly condemn the evils going on in this southeastern part of the country.
Now, it is obvious that everyone can see the injustice against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that whatever they are doing to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is deliberate and they have motive behind it. Maybe they want Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to buy in DSS custody, because I don't see any reason why these people will not allow Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to go to hospital and treat himself, knowing fully well that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is very, very sick. In the Igbo, it is time to rise up and defend Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the Igbo, because enough is enough. These people are taking Igbos for granted. Because of some of our leaders, our so-called leaders that we have in the South, is that cannot even defend our interests. Rather, some of them are even the reason why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is still in DSS custody. My people, let me allow you guys to listen to what Rufai said here, because this is not just about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It is about the level of hypocrisy that is going on in Nigeria.
It's an update to the story we brought you yesterday about flash flooding in Lagos. Gbadebo Rufai, the 2023 Labour Party gubernatorial candidate in Lagos, has raised an alarm in a post on X, stating that the primary cause of flooding in Lagos is the reckless unfilling of the city's water bodies and wetlands. He warned that this development practice will not only lead to massive flooding on the Lagos mainland, but is also responsible for displacing indigenous communities that have resided in those areas for over 200 years.
Fortunate as well that this is going to lead to the displacement of a community that's over 200 years old. And this is also very unfortunate because when you look at how the case against Lagos State government and their handling of the funds that were meant to enrich the people of Ibejuleki that were displaced for the Dangote refinery land, how that has been handled. And again, another indigenous community of Lagos, the Igbo people especially, that have been here for over 200 years, about to be displaced with this development. That's not going to take anything of their care, their welfare, the work that they do. Nothing. They're just going to be displaced. This entire community is going to be displaced based on development. And when you see what they're building here, nobody in this community can afford to live here. Again, development should not be at the detriment and exclusion of the indigents and of the people of Lagos. Lagos does not have to be in Dubai if some percent of the people cannot afford to live in Dubai.
All right, Gbadebo Rufai has raised this concern, and I'll take some reactions. This is from Wale Adeshina, who wrote, "The Lagos government is prioritizing profits over people, sand-filling wetlands for luxury developments, while ignoring the devastating floods and displacement of indigenous communities is irresponsible and inhumane." In the meantime, the Lagos state government has commenced the removal of illegal developments and defective structures at a trade fair complex in Ojo local government area of the state. The demolition is coming after the Lagos Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, cited illegal construction on floodplains and refuse dumping as contributing factors to the Lagos floods. The operation is set to target structures without statutory approvals and those built on road setbacks and drainage channels in violation of planning regulations. Let's look at that.
Actually, it's the trade fair complex. You understand? We're going to preserve the trade fair complex, which is this, which is why we're this is this one. All these buildings. This is the trade fair complex.
Oh, this is so sad. Livelihoods, people's property. We know multiple government agencies are involved in this exercise, including the Ministry of Physical Planning, Lagos State Building Control Agency, Lagos State Urban Renewal Agency, and the Lagos State Fiscal Planning Permit Authority. Rufai, I'll take this tweet and then I'll come to you. Yemi wrote on X, I think Jide Sanwo-Olu, that's the Lagos State Governor, needs to urgently restructure the Ministry of Physical Urban Planning. They seem overwhelmed and lack capacity. How do whole estates and markets get fully built before anyone realizes they are illegal? That's a system failure, and I agree with that.
And that's a system failure. And in fact, the interesting thing about this story is Joe Igbo even sounded off about it. In fact, he made a message out that's making the rounds as talking about him being a patron of Aspana International Market and Trade Fair, him, Peter Obi, and the late Senator Ifeanyi, and he says, Orokwe CJ. You see, yes, I know you must be able to clear drainage channels. We don't want flooding and all of that. People should not build illegally. But what were the authorities looking at when those buildings were going up? The buildings will now go up, you will now destroy it and destroy people's livelihood. Do you know in the plaza, Oji, I hear of people that are losing their sanity as regards the fire that happened around the plaza on the Lagos Island. Some people will never be able to recoup their lives from all of that. Now you are damaging buildings, a lot of investments. That's why people are already putting a lot of ethnic dimension into it. I don't want people to put ethnic dimension into it, but it's very sad because these traders are from a certain part of the country and these buildings were approved before they built, and now you are pulling it down. And it's a recurring decimal. And at the same time, you're having people illegally building on wetlands in Lagos and filling wetlands. Anyway, concerning that, about 7 days ago, the Lagos State government has said people should stop some filling of wetlands. But the question is, we all know those were wetlands before now. Who gave the authorization to be able to fill those wetlands to build luxury property on them in the first place? Because all of this, I'm not saying is solely the factor, but all of this ties into what is happening in Lagos. And that's why Rufai was raising a very strong point. Because wetlands, as they are supposed to be egress for water. There are many wetlands that have been built on. Tell people, Oji, to tell you the history of this same, this estate, Park View today. It was supposed to be one of the biggest wetlands in these areas, in these areas of the island. But it's been built on today. And that's why what happened in Park View happened.
Yes.
Around where we have to be dolphin today. Have you ever wondered why that place was called Dolphin Estate? Because you used to have school of dolphins move through that waterways, but everything has been blocked because of all they want to do expansion and make money. So please, and hope the property is demolished. People will actually get some level of help or compensation of some sort.
I mean, because
they're destroying livelihoods. And this is the same Lagos you're saying is fit for investment.
I was going to say, lots of people actually, especially Nigerians in diaspora, are saying that they're reluctant to invest because of what they're seeing being reported. Whereby you can wake up one morning and your investment has been demolished.
Yes, this is unfair. Like I said, all of those ministries are involved in this demolition. What was happening? What was the process? This is the same question we ask every time we take a demolition story. Yesterday, Rufai, you weren't here. We also talked about the fact that, people are in Lekki are complaining that maybe the coastal highway is causing the flooding. And that's the sort of investigation that we need to hear. Because they're saying that, the coastal highway lacks drainage, but we know that, the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, has said that, it does have, the coastal highway has 750 kilometers of drainage with it.
In fact, there's a particular street, and I'm sure the minister knows about this street.
Yes.
Because the prominent Nigerian stays on that street in Via. There's a particular street that once the coastal highway was made, they blocked a part of the egress of water.
Right.
And the street started flooding until we had to call the environment. I mean, we had to liaise with people in the environmental department to be able to open it up so that you can channel the water away. So it's pushed a lot of water also. And that's why we should also be careful. Yes, we want development and all of that. And that's why when we're asking for the environmental impact assessments, these are the things we're asking. And we say we don't want that. No, I want what's it called, development to come.
Yes.
We want infrastructure, but things need to be done properly.
All right, well said, well said. We will continue to follow up on this story in our ECHO. Every day I'll keep saying, ECHO ni budget, please. Well, let's head over to Katsina State now, where terrorist leaders this week held peace meetings in 2 local government areas of the state with local authorities and community stakeholders pledging their commitment to cease hostilities and promote stability under the federal government's Operation Safe Corridor initiative. The meetings held in Sabuwa and Matazu local government areas included LGA chairmen, state assembly members, and a number of prominent terrorist leaders. According to reports, the discussions focused on reconciliation and a cessation of hostilities. Both parties gave assurances that they would work towards lasting peace, and local authorities announced that consultations will continue to consolidate the process. While speaking at the peace talk, one of the terrorist leaders, Kachala Umaru, warned security operatives against the kinetic approach to insecurity, stating, if today you kill 10 bandits, tomorrow you'll see 20. You kill 20, another 30 will rise. Umaru claimed that killing them only worsens the situation and accused the government of prioritizing money generation over the people's welfare. He also called for mutual cooperation and respect for any terms of agreement between the terrorists and security agencies, warning that the peace talks would be meaningless if security operatives are not told to leave them alone. Well, we know this news has ignited public debate over the contrasting government responses to these terrorists and the case of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, who remains in custody of the Department of State Services while facing trial on terrorism-related charges, despite the 2022 Court of Appeal ruling that discharged and acquitted him. We also have reports, and we know that the DSS, under the current Director General Adiola Ajayi, has been accelerating trials, including the trial of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra. Today, he was seen arriving at the courtroom for the ruling on his no-case submission at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Rufai, like I highlighted in my report here about, this story that had been trending all week about these terrorists in Katsina negotiating and warning security operatives not to use the kinetic approach. And, you juxtapose it with the detention of the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra. You'd see this disparity. Where is the fairness? These are the conversations that have been had so far.
There's a lot of unfairness in this country, and some people rank higher than some. Not to say the DSS have not prosecuted some terrorists, of extractions of the North here, but when you openly see people negotiating and bandits doing all sorts what they do, and you see people like Nnamdi Kanu, that by the way is in the hospital now because they had to push until they got him to the hospital because of his ill health, and you're wondering what is going on. Prior to President Buhari leaving office, some Igbo leaders went for a political solution. Somebody would have thought that the likes of President Buhari would have prevailed upon that. But nothing happened. President Tinubu is in there now. A lot of people have been talking about a political solution. To no avail. Nnamdi Kanu has come out to constantly condemn the evils going on in this southeastern part of the country. Then at the same time, you see bandits carrying their guns or their AK-47s or their machinery and coming out and even threatening the military. And local government officials are meeting with them. I mean, this is the imbalance we talk about. So please, if the government wants to redeem itself, we need to see those bandits that are being brought to book.
Yes.
Because it looks as though they have permeated into the ecosystem. It looks like they are stakeholders in society. Look at them. They are stakeholders. They even have uniform. And after, when they hold the bandit, the next day they will sow Ashwebi for them. They will say they are rehabilitating the lives of bandits. I mean,
yeah. Well, all right. This is the conversation that is out there now, and I thought it was important to bring it out there for the federal government's response to these concerns about, even the people from the north and the people in the southeast and the agitation for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. I believe I also saw a report from the governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, talking about the fact that all southeast governors are, pushing for his release at this moment. We'll follow up on the story. Now, let's take the story in Adamawa State, where the state's local government chairmen have sparked widespread outrage by sponsoring their wives for a leadership training program in Istanbul, Turkey. The chairman of the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria in the state, Sulaiman Tongo, defended the trip, stating that it was necessary to equip their spouses with leadership skills so they could offer useful advice to the chairman on governance, adding that the importance of the training outweighed the cost. Critics, however, have condemned the trip as a wasteful and misuse of public funds, especially given the recent granting of financial autonomy to local governments and the high poverty levels in Adamawa State. While social media users suggested the trip was merely a thinly veiled publicity-funded vacation. I'll take a tweet higher before I come to you. This person wrote on X, Adamawa State is amongst Nigeria's poorest states, yet the governor's wife signed off the Esther Code to sponsor herself and the wives of 21 LG chairmen in the state on a luxury trip to Turkey. The total IGR of the state in 2022 was a little above 13 billion naira. In 2023, it was just about 17 billion. And in 2024, it didn't reach 20 billion. The amount First Lady Remi Tinubu purportedly raised in 5 days. How is a state stricken by native poverty, with a majority of its people, particularly kids, wallowing in hunger and wretchedness, able to afford a luxury trip for 21 women and their aides in faraway Turkey? The answer can only be imagined in a country called Nigeria. Ayo, go ahead.
There's no justification whatsoever. Yes. Whether it be training, whether it be vacation, there's no justification for a state that's not able to generate 20 billion naira in 2024 to send wives of local government chairmen to Turkey for training or whatever. I say this because we are still arguing the fact of whether or not there should be the office of a first lady.
These are the questions.
And what budget line item would fund that. Now we're now grappling with office of the first lady of a local government chairman. And then in a state where you have banditry, you have terrorist attacks, you have issues around security and poverty, education levels, out of school children, and what they deem fit to spend their money on is to take about 17 women abroad. I champion the issues around women, yes, and I love women. Yes. But when we have to call a spade, that this is absolute waste of government resources. Yes. And it's a slap on the faces of Adamawa children who are not in school as a result of lack of budgetary allocation to them being able to go to school. It is a slap on the face of the people who have to beg for food in Adamawa State. It is a slap on the face of those who are displaced currently as a result of security challenges in Adamawa State. It should be probed, and anyone who's found culpable should face the punishment. Absolutely. It's very sad that we're spending our resources this way.
To all the Eastern governors, you people have become a disgrace to your own land. If people are scared to tell you this, one that will tell you. You have painted the image of your land and your culture to look like that of weaklings and cowards, which is very shameful. I know you don't care, but the truth is that it is very shameful of you and you should be ashamed. To all the multi-billionaires in the Eastern community and Igbo land, you people have become a disgrace to your land. People are scared of telling you, one that will tell you. You have painted the image of your land and your culture to look like that of weaklings and cowards, which is very shameful. I know you don't care, but the truth is that it is so shameful of you and you should be ashamed. To all the top Eastern religious leaders, papas and mamas them, you people have become a disgrace to your land. People are scared of telling you, one that will tell you. You have painted the image of your land and your culture to look like that of weaklings and cowards, which is very shameful. I know you don't care, but it should be very shameful of you and you should be ashamed. To all the Easterners that are occupying significant leadership positions in Nigeria, people have become a disgrace to your land. If people are scared of telling you, one that will tell you, I know you don't care, but it is very shameful of you and you should be ashamed. To all the people that term themselves elites and powerful people in the Eastern communities, you people have become a disgrace to your land. If people are scared of telling you, one that will tell you, I know you don't care, but you should be very shameful and you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed that the government is making a peace deal with bandits and herdsmen that have unalived thousands of Nigerians, while your brother that tried to save you is in jail for the past 4 years. It shows that you are such a weakling and coward that you can't even save yourself. I'm very sure at this point it doesn't concern you, but I promise you, inshallah, I promise you, wallahi, it will concern you. You see the injustice and the corruption that the likes of him are fighting against, and you are being nonchalant because it has not gotten to you. I promise you, wallahi, it will get to you. You will lose your brother to banditry. You will lose your sister to herdsmen. You people choose to be nonchalant, selfish, greedy, to be sabotaging his efforts. Government is literally making a peace deal with bandits that have unalived thousands of Nigeria, while your brother is in jail for the past 4 years. You are a billionaire, you are a governor. Governor my foods. You see that baby lion you are raising, that you are feeding, it will eventually grow up, and when it grows, it's going to devour you.
It is really, really shameful, the kind of leaders that we have in the Southeast. Look at how they are celebrating and even turn bandit to celebrity. In the North, which they are even taking selfie as well as exchanging number with. Oh, my people, this is really, really funny. What a country. Why they are holding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, an innocent man who has not committed any crime. His crime is that he is an Igbo man. His crime is that he is fighting for the freedom of his people. That's all. But you are busy having peace deal, peace meeting with bandits, people that you know very well that yes, these people have died like a lot of Nigerians. No court charges, so what a shame. Whatever they are doing or whatever their plans are, let them not let anything happen to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
Welcome to Chamber Senior Steve.